Hey, B-Movie fans, Leslie Morris here, and it's my pleasure to review the greatest Christmas film of all time. I'm in fact talking about the K. Gordon Murray's English version of Rene Condona's Santa Claus. Santa Claus starts in Santa's Crystal Palace, which according to the narrator is located far up in the heavens, which also happens to be located in outer space, and that happens to be also on top of the North Pole. Confused? Good. Let's move on. Anyway, Santa's listening to Silent Night while setting up a nativity scene. In this film, Santa and Jesus are good pals. Anyway, he has to finish some toys, but instead of putting together a few hundred rocking horses, he goes to his piano and starts playing. His piano is the only way he can access a view screen that allows him to see Toyland. Toyland may sound nice, but it's really a place where he keeps hundreds of children he's enslaved from around the world. In Toyland, they make toys and perform for him. Oh well, they seem happy. Anyway, some children give him a sculpture of Lucifer. He lights it, and this causes a reaction in the bowels of hell. Lucifer wants to send up a devil in order to turn all the children of the earth evil. Meanwhile on Earth, a bunch of children are looking at a storefront display which features a mechanical Santa. From there, the narrator goes to set up several characters, such as the poor little rich boy, a poor girl called Lupia whose only wish in life is to have a doll. I'm a sucker for little Lupia, and she gets me every time. The devil sees the evil in the heart of three little boys, so he makes 3 stones magically appear, and they throw them at the shop front. One of the stones hits the mechanical Santa, which in turn hurts the real Santa. Santa wants to go down there and set them straight, but he can only go to Earth on Christmas Eve. Santa needs to do some recon, so he uses his magical equipment to find Lupia. When he finds her, Lupia is taking a doll from a table stall. She takes the doll but has second thoughts. The devil tries to get her to take it, but Santa talks her out of it, and she puts it back. Phew, good one, Lupia. From there he finds the little rich boy. Santa uses his dream scope to look at his dreams. He's dreaming that his parents would love him. Aww.
A dream is a wish that the heart makes.
Sage words, Santa. Santa then turns the dream scope onto little Lupia. Lupia is dreaming about having her very own doll. Then an army of real dolls comes to life and starts dancing. And then the living dead doll tells her to steal a doll, but she wants to be good and doesn't want to do it. How is this movie appropriate for children? From there we get to see how Santa's postal system works. Step 1, children from around the world write him a letter. Step 2, they send their letter to Santa via the post office. Step 3, the postman puts the letters up the chimney. Step 4, somehow the letters get up far in the heavens in outer space above the North Pole to Santa's palace. Step 5, they all come through a special door, then Santa bathes in them. After basking in the wants and desires of small children, Santa goes to Merlin's laboratory. I wonder if Jesus and Merlin are friends as well. Anyway, Santa is preparing to leave for his Christmas run, so Merlin gives him several magical powders that he will need. He also gives him a flower that can turn him invisible. From there, Santa pops over to the key maker, who gives him a key that will open every lock on Earth. Santa has a few minutes to spare, so he does some dry chimney runs. He's fully prepared, so he goes off to deliver presents around the world. Meanwhile on Earth, the poor little rich kid's parents leave him while they go out for the night. The devil and the 3 evil children are nearby. They're planning to jump Santa as soon as he lands. Meanwhile, little Lupia is still longing for a doll. She asks her mother if Santa's going to bring her a doll, but her mother knows that they're too poor for Santa to visit them, and explains that Christmas is really about Jesus. You know, granted that the redubbing in the scene is a little silly, the scene is still really good, as it makes you care for both Lupia and her mother. Santa lands in Mexico. For the next 10 or so minutes, the devil keeps trying to sabotage Santa by, moving chimneys, lighting fires, and heating up doorknobs. Santa gets around him by using sleeping dust, a little cannon, his flower of invisibility, and his magical parasol. Santa goes to the poor little rich boy's house. Instead of giving him the attentive parents that he deserves, he gives him more crap that he doesn't need. Santa tells him that he must believe that his parents love him. Santa knows that the power of love isn't enough, so he disguises himself as a waiter and gives his parents a cocktail that will drug them into loving their child. Up next, we have the three evil boys. The devil is helping them carry out their diabolical plan, but it's okay, as Santa is way smart. He manages to get into the house and gives them coal. They find it, are disappointed, and they start fighting. Oh well, life is tough in Mexico. Before Santa moves on, the devil cuts a hole in his sack and he loses his flour and all of his magical powders. At the next house, Santa faces a mean dog. He goes to use his sleeping powder, but he doesn't have it, so he has to hide up a tree. The devil goes into the house and tells the family that Santa's there to murder them. He makes them ring the police and fire brigade. Santa calls out to his best friend Merlin to help him, but Merlin isn't there. This wouldn't have happened if he asked Jesus for help. Just saying. Meanwhile, the devil is riling up the family in the house. Then he goes outside to tell Santa that it's almost daytime.
Your reindeer will turn into powder. You will starve to death, and I will rule the earth.
Oh no! Merlin finally gets in contact with him. He rambles incoherently, then tells him that a wind-up toy will distract the dog. He does. The dog chases it. Everyone turns up, but he manages to escape. Santa needs to leave Earth, but he has one more house to visit. Little Lupia! He hasn't got long. Is he going to make it? Lupia's dad comes home. He's been out looking for work. The wee hours of Christmas morning probably isn't the best time to look for a job. Lupia talks to her mother again, and before they know it, Santa has left her a doll. And I have to say, I love this scene. It gets me every time, because the same thing happened to me when I was a child. And the film ends with a Bible verse. Santa Claus has some pacing problems, but all in all, it's the craziest children's Christmas film of all time, and that's why I love it. Okay, our K. Gordon Murray Christmas fun doesn't end there. Next we have a Santa short called Santa and His Helpers. Not surprisingly, it starts with footage from Santa Claus. Santa tells his workers that they have to get ready for Christmas. Then he goes back into his magical laboratory where the narrator explains what all the instruments do. Santa uses one of his instruments to look down at one of the many magical villages he has around the world. This footage looks like it was shot in an amusement park. Wait, is that the ice cream bunny? Nope, my mistake. It's actually the Easter Bunny. So anyway, the narrator tells us that Santa uses his villages to develop and make toys. From there we see K. Gordon Murray regulars, Skinky the Skunk and the Ferocious Wolf. They're having a fight, so Puss in Boots tries to break them up. Santa Claus isn't impressed with this, so Merlin transports him there via the fifth dimension. Santa tells them not to fight and to get back to work. As this is new footage, and know that Santa is being played by a different actor, we never see Santa's face. They stop fighting and go back to work. The end. Santa and His Helpers is as short as it is pointless. Up next, we have a lost film called Santa's Fantasy Fair. One can surmise from the poster that this movie is Santa Claus and His Helpers and cut-down versions of other K. Gordon Murray classics such as Little Boy Blue and Pancho, Little Red Riding Hood, The Pied Piper of Hamelin, and The Golden Goose. Here's an interesting little fact. In 1991, Good Time Video tried to recreate this movie, but they made a massive mistake when they used footage from the German production of Puss in Boots rather than Murray's Mexican version. Also, they didn't use any footage from Little Boy Blue and Pancho. And finally, we have Santa's Magic Kingdom. The film starts with Santa showing us around his magical kingdom, and not surprisingly, it's just reused footage from Santa and his helpers. Santa introduces us to Mr. Ferocious Wolf and Merlin. From there, Merlin shows us around. We see the Easter Bunny's home, the post office, the toy factory. Then Santa introduces us to Puss in Boots, who's head of security. Anyway, the audio in this part of the film is terrible, and I can't really work out what is being said. I think the princess warns Puss in Boots that an ogre is going to attack him. Puss in Boots goes to investigate, and he finds a large wooden thing that they're pretending is a monster. Anyway, the wooden monster thingy tells Puss in Boots that he wants all the children to be bad like him. Puss in Boots runs back to tell the others. They all want to form an army, but Merlin has some medication that will fix the ogre. The ogre yells at them from off-screen, and in an incredibly undramatic ending, Merlin goes off-screen and gives the ogre the medication. Everyone sings the end.